Alright, hello, welcome back to another patch breakdown. If you're watching this, it means you give us money. And so thank you. You help us stay afloat and keep doing what we're doing. So yeah, patch breakdown, we have Kyle Swisher, aka Dark Sparkler, with all his Buchla stuff. We're going to talk about some of the Buchla gear, and he played the May 4th modular-nights, which May the 4th, so it was a whole Star Wars deal. So you know, we'll get to that too. Anyways, how are you, dude?
I'm good.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, we're happy you're here. You know, especially because you got the Buchla stuff. I'm a Eurorack guy. Bradley's a Eurorack guy. I feel like most people watching this are Eurorack oriented people.
I just zigged when everybody else was zagging or something.
Yeah, you're like a hipster. You know, you're like a synth hipster.
That's kind of like pot calling kettle black in a way, you know? Right?
Yeah.
Because aren't we all hipsters if we're doing this stuff?
Well, deep. There it is.
We'll
Interview over. Alright, anyways, okay. So we got the Buchla stuff. And Buchla is so far beyond my understanding. Because like I said, I'm a Eurorack guy. So yeah, why don't you just, give us a quick overview of all the gear you got, because you got some other interesting non-Buchla stuff as well, and then we'll dive a little more into specifics. So,
cool. I mean, it is, as you say, like you don't know the stuff, but it all is kind of like the building blocks of what Eurorack is, or what a lot of it is.
Right.
So kind of the main heartbeat centerpiece is the Buchla Music Easel.
And this is like a pretty sought after instrument. Like Caitlin Aurelia Smith uses this.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone from 9 Inch Nails has this.
Yeah, that was Sandro. Yeah, has one for sure, or multiple probably. This was, I think it came out in the early 70s, like 73 or so, originally, and like maybe 25 to 35 or something were made.
Wait, so is this like one of the original?
Heck no.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, that's crazy.
No.
Okay.
This is one of the reissues that came out. They started remaking them in like 2013, 2014.
Oh, that's way more recent than I thought. Crazy.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it was kind of built as a performance instrument.
Right, especially with like the touch keyboard.
Yeah, all right there, kind of very immediate, and this is called the 208, which is this kind of one module right here, so it's just two modules.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's all one piece. So it's called the 208, and then you've got the 218, which is the keyboard touch source.
So are there different models of Buchla easel, or is it just the one?
I mean, there are different. I mean, there's a clone world out there where people are making their own panels and PCBs and putting them together. So there you will see kind of like different versions of that, or which maybe are based on the original one back in the 70s. When they started remaking these, there's like a couple little changes that they made, but in essence, it's the same building blocks.
Okay.
So the 208 kind of main section of the easel, it has kind of your CV on the left-hand side, then goes into your oscillators, and then your low-pass gates, and on out through the mixer, so it kind of goes left to right.
I mean, that's kind of one of the things we were talking about before, was like how the layout of Buchla stuff is a lot more uniform and practical than Eurorack stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
like you said, it goes like left to right,
Yeah, when Don was building, I mean, it all comes from one mind, which then just kind of like cements it into stuff working together well.
Right.
Instead of a bunch of different manufacturers, and you get to put your own
right.
cool system together.
Totally.
Not everything might not talk to each other
right.
equally.
And there's some major pros and cons to both of those approaches. But yeah, I love the uniformity. That's fantastic. Anyways.
So yeah, the easels kind of architecture from left to right, there's a 5-step sequencer.
5 steps.
Yeah.
So what's the logic behind having 5 steps? Because normally we think of music in you know, 4 beat, 4 bars.
Mm-hmm. And like that just goes in Don Bluth's history of like, why 5? And it's just like, why not?
Is that kind of his answers? Why
probably
not?
Enough space was right there, and that like could make things sound a little bit different than just having your 4. It can be switched to 4 steps or 3 steps.
Right.
But yeah, it's a 5-step.
Yeah, I bet you get a lot of super interesting compositionally. You get a lot of interesting stuff using a 5-step sequence.
Yeah, or then like having them there to switch back and forth from different ones. Then there's a 1 single envelope, which is attack, sustain, decay. The sustain kind of works, kind of
attack, sustain, decay. Interesting.
Sometimes. So I rarely have a sustain up. It's usually just attack and decay. Then there's the pulsar, which is a kind of a ramp down beat. It's kind of the heartbeat for it. It triggers a lot of other stuff. So like the sequencer's usually triggered from the pulsar. So
it's like it's your clock source.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, because there's no real like official clock in Buchla.
Really? So you never see like a module that's like, this is your clock source.
Yeah, I mean there was like I think a pulsar programmable pulsar module that was never really mass produced. I think it made a couple prototypes or something like that. But yeah, like that's one thing where clock is not really in the vernacular of Buchla.
Right, that's so interesting.
And then you get to the oscillator, which is like if you're familiar with like a make noise DPO, it's kind of the same setup. There's a modulation oscillator and a complex oscillator. So the oscillator on the left can modulate the one on the right. And then these are both routed to... So that's the kind of one, like, semi-modular part about this, is that it is internally routed to the 2 low-pass inputs. So you don't have to patch the signal.
Right, because it's already normal under the hood.
Yeah, exactly. And then on out through a mixer.
Wait, so is only one oscillator on the easel?
Well, so it is 2, so you can have...
2, okay.
But they kind of interact with each other at the same time.
That's interesting.
And then you've got the keyboard, which can play notes. It's got an arpeggiator on there, portamento. It's also not really pressure sensitive.
Yeah, you said earlier it was like the amount of skin that's on. That's so crazy.
So that makes it cool and expressive.
So then, can you route that so you so like if I have more skin on the key, can you route that so it's like that's affecting a filter or that's affecting
you can put it
whatever else. Wow.
Yeah. So then all these jacks right here. So what's kind of nice is most of the patching goes on right in the middle. And
that is really nice.
Right here.
That is really nice.
Which is kind of like, well, it's still kind of blocking, the access up here. But if it was all up top, I think it would be harder to figure out what's affecting what.
Totally. And just the fact alone that it's so uniform, and it's like these are where your jacks are, these are where your
and
are.
What's cool is everything is all color coded. So I don't know if you're going to see on the cameras, but all the black jacks here, that's those are CV inputs, so that's going to affect the slider that's right above it. And then all the colored jacks route specific types of CVs, so, and they're all kind of color coded. So there's a blue right here, that's for the 5-step sequencer. The orange jacks are for the envelope, the yellow's for the pulsar, and there's a few different outputs of the same thing. And then on the bottom row, the white jacks are the random generator, which is kind of down here, which is just a stepped random. And then the purple jacks are for the amount of pressure you put on there. So yeah, you have options to route them to multiple different things. And then everything is kind of, all your CV is attenuated right there. So you can attenuate the amount of CV that's going into everything.
Right.
So you can have it, like if you wanted to route the finger pressure to pitch, you could have that just go very subtly with the...
Right.
So it would just maybe make a pitch bend like up, like half a note, like a semitone or something like that, where at the same time you could have it route to like the modulation index, and it'll get super crazy with FM like at the same time.
Right. Wow, that's super interesting. Can you let's hear a little bit? Like, can you play around a bit and show us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of locked in, but like.
Yeah, without like destroying your patch, because
right.
I mean that's the purpose of the video. But
let's see here. If we go, let me turn. So right now I'll have the pitch go into the timbre slider of the complex oscillator.
Mm-hmm.
The complex oscillator, it's pretty sweet. So you've got sawtooth, square, and triangle, but you've got a wave shaper, so it kind of... So let's see here. So with this knob all the way up, it's going to be whatever this shape is, but if you turn it down, you go into a sine wave.
I was going to ask, it's no sine wave, weird.
And then you can wave fold that.
Oh, wow.
And then with what's cool with this thing, which we'll probably get to, this piece kind of unlocks some stuff from the hood.
Right, so this isn't part of the easel. This is like a separate attachment.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. So I guess to finish off this, like I'll have the CV go to the timbre slider right here, so you can...
Whoa, that's wild. Do you find that kind of makes it hard to play sometimes? Because, you know, at least when I'm playing a keyboard, like the last thing I'm paying attention to is like how much of my finger is on the key. Because normally I'm thinking more like velocity, pressure. Yeah. You know, so it's like, is that making it difficult?
Like, for me, not being a keyboard player, like, it just depends, like, if I have that routed to anything. Like, sometimes, like, if I do, then it's like, oh, be mindful of what's going on. Like, actually, with this patch, I do have it routed to a lot of kind of gnarly modulation. So it's more like I'm not leaving my finger on it. I'm kind of tapping it, letting it go. But when I want to bring it in, that's just another... I'm using more of, like, a trigger source to, like, oh, now I want to apply a bunch of pressure. So depends on the patch. Sometimes when it's affecting pitch, then like I maybe want to be more delicate, because then I want to like do cool little vibrato pitch bends. Then like just have to be mindful of like when changing notes compared to really giving it the vibrato.
All right, yeah. So let's move on a little bit.
Yeah.
So the easel, this is like your main sound source.
Yeah, these are the only two oscillators I have.
Only two oscillators. Really? You only use two oscillators for everything?
Yeah.
That's wild, because from what I've heard from you, you really take those two oscillators as far as you can. That's crazy.
Yeah, like speaking of Star Wars, like Rogue One, is it Diego Luna? Is that who's the dude in it?
Yeah.
Where he's got that one line where he's like, "Let's make 5 men feel like 100" or something.
It's like that.
Yeah, that's like when I get to this, like, we gotta blow this up.
Let's make 2 oscillators do like 1,000.
Yes, exactly.
Love it.
So this is part of... So this part right here was pretty cool. So back in the 70s when this was designed, and actually I should have brought some, but there were these preset program cards you can get, which were just PCB boards that would plug into here, and they would have, you would actually solder resistors that would change settings for you. So you can kind of make a preset based on these cards. You can click it in, flip up the switch, and it's like as if I had all these things mapped out, and there it would be. So you can kind of go back to a preset.
That's so interesting. So that's what that is. It's like one of those...
Yes and no, because there's a lot of different things underneath the hood that preset card could access that you just don't have a slider or anything right
Okay.
here. So like this right here where I was talking about changing the complex oscillator's wave shape from like a saw to sine, that's the only way you can do that right here. But with the card, you could get access to that to modulate the setting there. So what this card does, this is from, it's Portobello Apps is what it's called, the 208 toolbox. It just brings a lot of those features that are under the hood up front, so you can kind of modulate them or change them right here.
Yeah.
So for this right here, I actually do have, you can send CV to change this right here. So not only are you able to change like the timbre, but then you can also change the wave shape. So if I turn that up here, I have just a kind of like an LFO, changing that. It's probably a little subtle.
No, I hear it for sure. Okay, so Cliff Notes version, all this is just giving you more modulation options.
Yeah, giving me more access to different stuff that I can. I can run the pulse or the like send different clocks to the sequencer or trigger different things. And change some more stuff under the hood. It's also got like a CV mixer and attenuator right there.
Oh,
too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so cool little toolbox.
Okay, cool. So that's this. So what do we got going on here? So this is all your sound sources.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that this is just like all modulation. Or
yeah. So while like this is all a great little box that you can do a lot with, there's still only one envelope. A pulsar, which can be an envelope, but it's just going to be non-stop kind of pounding. Or not that malleable and shapeable. So I did kind of invest in some boats to get more modules.
Boats? Is that what you call them in Buchla?
Yeah.
Boats.
Yeah, they're boats.
Wow.
And so the first thing I got was a quad function generator, which is kind of like a maths in a way.
Okay.
So it's just 4 attack decay envelopes. And then this is the multiple arbitrary function generator, which is also known as the MARF. Suzanne Ciani, this is like a big kind of centerpiece module in her setup.
Okay.
And was back in the day too. These are cloned of modules of the 200 series from back in the 70s. So this is the 4 envelopes. This is basically 2 sequencers. So like right here is a sequencer, right here is a sequencer, but they share the same 16 steps. But you can you can have them running at different speeds.
Whoa, interesting.
And you can set different, so you can have maybe this one go like, I only want 4 steps for this sequencer. And then this one I'll program steps 6 through 10 or something. You can have them but then they'll be working in their own section or whatever.
So you can do a lot of really interesting polyrhythmic and I mean, just interesting melodies that aren't super repetitive and
it's cool when you have them what you think is at the same speed, like you'll set the time knob all the same, they still will start getting out of phase with each other, which is really cool. So you can have them running kind of the same steps, and they'll still you'll get some cool Steve Reich kind of phasing stuff, and they'll finally come around and sync up again. But yeah, so I wanted a whole lot more CV to pump into this, and this was a big investment, but it was just I'm going to spend 2 years just hanging out with this. And it also has a pulse, you can set up your pulse out, so you can kind of trigger envelopes for certain steps and stuff. So, there's a lot of function to it. Don Bluth thought was like, hey, if you got one of these, you can kind of make all the modulation you want. You can do 16-stage envelopes, and I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So then basically, this, similar to this, is just a supplement to the easel, and it's just giving you more control. And just,
yeah, I wanted something, because, I was working with this for a couple of years, and those 5 steps are great.
But 5 steps only get you so far.
But it's kind of like, maybe I want a few more.
Right.
And so, yeah, and this will kind of hopefully eventually become its own as throughout the years. Like, this is my retirement plan by the time, because I've got 2 other boats like this. By the time I have them all filled up, like, I should be hopefully, well, no, I probably won't have any money to retire, but
yeah,
I'll get to play at my old age.
So before we move on to the last 2 pieces of gear, let's assume money is not a factor. You have unlimited money.
Yeah.
Why would someone go Buchla rather than Eurorack? Because Eurorack is, that's like the most popular thing right now. That's like,
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's you're getting new options all the time, which is awesome, and you can really make your own system if you want.
Right. And then so then what would make someone want to give up that level of flexibility?
Right. Yeah. I mean, for me, I still think there's a sound to it.
Mm-hmm. There totally is. It's like a fat, warm, clear sound.
Yeah, and also that it was all kind of designed by one person is kind of what I feel is nice about it. It just feels like a complete instrument.
Right.
Even though, there's tons of modules to choose from, but it's like they all should work well with one another.
Right.
And we got a dog off screen going crazy. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a different way of working, and I came to that pass where it's like I was either going to go with a shared system or an easel, because they were roughly like the same amount of money at the time, and I don't know why, but I went this way, and I dig it.
And here you are.
Yeah.
No regrets.
Yeah.
All right. So then, you got that tape delay going on there? Tell us,
Yeah.
30 seconds or less, a little bit about, because that's a crazy machine. This
is a full tone tube tape echo. They came out in like the mid-thousands, I think, early to mid-thousands.
Oh, it's newer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, so it's like, this is kind of like based off like an old Echoplex, which were big in like the, I think, late 60s or early 70s. Mainly a guitar effects. It does say like even like guitar input.
Oh.
So it's very like guitar forward.
Right.
But yeah, it's a real cassette of tape in there that
wow.
the signal's running through.
So you use that for everything. I don't think I've ever seen you play without that.
Yeah, it's very like as much as I try and make, like I said, my 2 oscillators sound like 100 or whatever, like that,
part of that is having a delay.
Yeah, and so, not everything, it's like, but yeah, I'd say probably 80% of stuff does go through it at some point.
Right, and like you were saying earlier, it's cool because it's like as the tape gets worn, it gets like grungier. And
yeah, so it's got its own modulation in there because it's machines going, and sometimes it's speeding up and not, and so it's like it's got its own texture and
that's awesome.
Ability there, and then I've got a Eventide space back over here.
Right, which is that just reverb pedal? Is that all it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of like a Strymon Big Sky or whatever.
Right. All hail Strymon. Anyways. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
that kind of rounds it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So if you're watching this, I'm assuming you know what the Star Wars show was, but in case you didn't, because it was May the 4th, Modular-Nights, we did Star Wars, and we had every artist kind of like pick a theme from Star Wars, and then kind of go off that, like do their own interpretation of it. So explain what you chose from Star Wars to base your piece off of, and then why you chose it.
Yeah. I think I came into... I think you guys asked me to do it a bit after. Maybe you guys... it sounds like the lineup kind of shifted a lot for this one.
Yeah.
So I came into it like a little bit later, so like you guys had a spreadsheet with people that kind of... Whoever was playing had picked out themes or whatever they wanted to touch base on.
Oh, so you were kind of late to the game for picking.
So I came like, all right, I'm gonna get that.
That's interesting. So when you saw the spreadsheet, was there anyone who had taken something you had already thought about doing?
Oh yeah, like.
So what was your original plan?
I think like I think I would go for like the Han and Leia theme or whatever that.
Okay.
Stuff that kind of was big in Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
Of course, like, his theme.
Right.
Like, which, unfortunately, I don't think it got played.
No, I don't think it did. Yeah.
But...
Anyway, so what did you end up with?
So, of course, like, I end up with, well, I don't end up, but it's like, okay, I started to rack my brain about, like, well, what else is there, and kind of start listening through stuff, which was fun. And I was like, well, what's just, like, what would maybe perk people's ears, what they maybe might know? Out of like, maybe 7 kind of main, other than main theme, his theme, and I came across a Parade of the Ewoks.
Yeah,
I think was
what
it was.
It's funny because when you think Buchla, you think these fat Sid sounds. You don't think Ewok.
Maybe, yeah, but then there's a whole like, people also praise like Buchla for like their, there's like something called like the Buchla Bongo. Where it's like all with like the low pass gates and gets very natural and like woody sounding.
Right.
So I'm like, well, they're amongst the redwoods and so I thought that might be fun. And but it's all so abstract because then when I listen to that, I'm like, well, I can maybe kind of recreate some of the stuff, but I don't think everybody covered something outright start to finish out the
right. A lot of people like I know some people like they just took like different samples from the movies.
Yeah.
Some people did full on covers, and some people like took like a theme and then a motif and just like expanded on it. And whatever. It was great. I mean, it was great to see how
it was amazing.
How everyone did it.
Everybody killed it.
So then, how did you approach that composition? Because I know it's kind of weird because it's like. I don't know, normally when people go into composition with any sort of modular synth, you're not trying to interpret an existing...
Yeah, I mean...
Because it's not really built for that.
No.
It's not like I can find a guitar tab and, play it, so... Yeah. So how did you approach the...
I don't know, I went through a lot of ideas of how I thought it would have came out. And it was just kind of trial and error. And really, the Ewok section was kind of towards the second half of my set, where I was kind of able to recreate a few different parts. Like one part, so I kind of recreated 3 parts, and one of the parts was maybe only like 2 bars in the actual score, but it was like, well, I can get something like that going. Basically, it's kind of just a sequence of notes that then I was like, well, maybe I can have that hang out and then play on top of that.
That's true. I didn't think about that. I guess because you do have the keyboard, so it would be a lot easier for you to just outright play from the score.
Yeah, because it's not like unheard of as long as I can like figure it out. Which
you know the notes.
Yeah. Which I just like listen to it. Okay, there we are. Because I know nothing of theory or anything like that. Like I think goodness that there's actual numbers on the
no way.
The keys where it's like okay
that's
that's 17, 12, and 11.
Okay, yeah. So instead of thinking like C, G, A, you're thinking
nothing
1, 7, 9.
There's no
that's crazy.
This is not actually tuned to middle C or anything like that.
Like,
I'm sure many smart people do. But,
totally.
Not this dude.
Not that you're not smart.
So I kind of broke it down, and I don't know, honestly, I feel like the second half does get a bit more choppy, but I wanted to kind of get across some feeling of like, oh, maybe it would kind of perk people's ears of like, oh, we kind of recognize that, because they're big Ewoks fans or something like that.
So then, let's hear, let's kind of dive into the actual patch a bit.
So that was kind of the second half. The first one was something I kind of had already had in mind, and it just felt right to kind of pair with this too. It was a bit more, I don't know, it was a bit more ambient, but then it kind of sped up. I don't know, I felt like it would fit the night for whatever reason.
Right.
It sounded spacey to me. So
there you go, spacey. Star Wars.
So I went with that. Yeah.
Love it.
So do you want me to kind of run?
Yeah. Let's just run through like all the individual sound sources and the different parts of the patch.
Cool.
Because at this point, the people who are watching, they've heard it, So let's like break it down one by one.
So without any effects or anything like that. First thing I have. I'm kind of tuned up a little bit. These are analog oscillators.
Yeah.
So first thing I have going is the modulation oscillator. What's cool about this this piece right here, I'm sending different stepped random voltages into to change the wave shape of the oscillator. So if you're listening to this is bouncing from this is probably triangle. And it's kind of jumping around from square to sawtooth. So I have that on random, so it's randomly bouncing around from there, and then I actually have random moving the gate as well.
Okay.
So it's just there's no set. I don't know when it's gonna kind of turn off and turn on and stuff. So that's just kind of roaming around.
So is it droning on that note, or does at any point become a sequence? Or
that's droning on that note, and so that's kind of I guess
it's like the base, like the backbone of the whole.
Yeah.
Patch.
Kind of I probably in a lot of my patches because there's only two sound sources. I don't know. It's be interesting. I'm liking watching the video with Nick and stuff. Just seeing how people patch, because I've only got the two, I kind of keep it in the lower registers because it just feels. I feel like it feels more.
Oh, interesting.
Space.
Yeah.
So instead of something really chimey, and then something really low, I don't know, I feel like more of the mid-range, low to mid-range. I don't know, sucks up more ear space in a way.
No, totally.
And then reverb and stuff can kind of hit those highs.
Right.
So that's kind of just droning around in the background, popping on and off when it feels like it.
Right.
The other piece is this. I do have the 5 sequencer going.
So this is a 5-step sequence.
Yeah. So it's really only hitting 2 different notes. That goes up 2 octaves from these. From the 1, 3, and 5 step.
Are these faders the sequencer?
Yeah.
Okay, I love that on this sequencer it has, lines and numbers, so you can actually dial in sequences a little more specifically.
Yeah, I guess than a knob. Yeah, even though.
Well, your rack sequencers obviously they have these faders too, but at least I haven't come across a sequencer that has any sort of markings like that. So I don't know if I'm looking for a specific note, I don't know where it is on that fader. Whereas this seems a little more
potentially, yeah, because this also then it's also attenuated at the oscillator too. So then the range of that can be offset quite a bit. So.
Right.
Maybe
the note will change, but the actual intervals themselves stay the same, which I think is pretty dope. I guess you can't really speak on that because you didn't really know about theory, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
there's no quantizing unfortunately going in here. I am the quantizer for.
Wait, there's no quantizing.
No.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy.
So
this sounds like it was quantized.
Well, because I've got a tuner and
okay, so you're dialing in,
finding those notes. But otherwise, you can hear the range is crazy within that suite.
Does quantizing in general exist in Buchla at all, or
not
really?
This does have a quantized mode where I think it will divide it within 12 steps, but it doesn't work all that well.
Interesting.
It's not I can throw out anything to it. It's
right.
Not I can throw I want a specific scale or something like that. It's more just quantizing the amount of voltage so that it is an even step.
Right, so the intervals are all even. That's crazy, because I feel like everything I've heard you do is, and even before you had this, was so melodic and so musical. So to hear the quantization, that's crazy.
That's just like
there's a whole extra layer of
and
work.
like
Totally.
So I'm very, I guess, deliberate about the choices
you're a lot more intentional.
Like I better hit that note because there's nothing to save me.
Totally.
Like there's no quantizer to bring it back and make it sound jazzy for a second and then.
Right.
But yeah, so anyway, I've got that 5-step sequence going. Then I also, with the same thing with this, I am changing the wave shape on the complex oscillator too. But I'm also sweeping this, so this is kind of going back and forth. So yeah, wave shapes are kind of bouncing around from types throughout the whole thing.
Right, which it make something like that can make a simple sequence super interesting because while the notes are staying the same, the timbre of the sound.
Yeah, because I always feel like I gotta make or keep stuff moving because it's like there are only 2 oscillators and stuff. So whatever change in timbre that I can like keep going.
Right. Well, and especially
interesting.
Going back to the whole unquantized sequencer thing. So then, do you at any point during this set or any set really, do you change the sequence at all, or do you not? Because it's like if you could. That could end up going really wrong, I imagine.
I have in some sets, and like that's what's been nice about getting this thing too.
Right.
Like for a set, I did the Christmas holiday one or whatever back in December, where I did a bunch of different Christmas songs or whatever, and I was able to be like, all right, this song is going to be steps 1 through 4, and this song is going to be steps 5 through 8, and so I could kind of bounce.
Oh, so then rather than changing the notes, you just split the sequencer up into smaller.
Yeah, because I had written everything kind of with the 4 and 5 step sequencer like a year prior to that, when I was doing this Christmas YouTube series, and so with this, like, you can actually save. You can. There are banks where you can save these this top row of sliders. So I was able to kind of use this so it was like a preset sequencer holder for smaller ones or whatever. So on the fly, like I have done that a couple times, but then I've got it kind of mapped out. I'm usually buying myself some time somehow, like throwing some sort of sample or letting my tape machine kind of oscillate and take over. So then I can like look at my tuner.
Wow.
Tune up and then.
Is that stressful?
Cross my fingers.
Is that stressful? Like to have to like live tune? Like.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Gosh.
I mean, but like I don't know. It's all I know. Like that's the dumb life I've chose with this.
No, I mean it's cool. I
guess.
think that kind of stretches you a bit, and it's like one of those things where it's like the having to work around the confines of an instrument can actually bring out more creativity.
Yeah. I mean, really, like I have to stretch everything I can out of this,
and
like
awesome.
Sometimes that's. I don't know. I think people make a big deal of like, transitions or whatever. Or keep that music flowing. Like, don't have any dead space or whatever. I'm like, it's a little dead space.
Well,
or like,
from the sets I've seen from you though, like the dead space like isn't really dead space. You always have something going on. Like you'll play some like interlude or like some like recording on your phone or something, and then so it works.
Okay, so I guess back to this.
Yeah. I remember what we were talking about at this point.
So I just have these two kind of.
So you have that drone and you have that sequence.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Am I still? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm got the drone and sequence going.
Great. Well, you just answered my next question because I was going to ask, since you have only 2 oscillators, one's doing a drone, one's playing a sequence, what are you doing with the keyboard? But it looks like you're just changing the root.
They're both oscillators are tracked by the keyboard right now, so I'm able to transpose that sequence. So then I was kind of going down, just transposing that. So the drone is kind of falling with it.
Right. So are you so there's two oscillators. Can you control them independently? So you can say, so can you say like oscillator 1, you're playing this note, oscillator 2, you're going here, or is it all controlled the same?
Yes and no. So you can turn off one oscillator to just drone and not to be messed with, influenced by the keyboard at all.
Okay.
There's this cool thing, which is the preset voltage source up here, which is kind of like a pressure points make noise, where like that's got 4 touch, like you set your voltages or whatever. So kind of this, you've got 4 different knobs you can set, and 1 output. So you could have like, that going to like the bass kind of line or something.
So that's
like
kind of
that.
like a mini keyboard almost, if you want it to be.
Yeah, so you so you have only 4 places to go on that one if you want it. So I've done sets like that, so you can kind of change the root of the of like that bass note and then play on top of it. This like kind of pushing stuff like the preset voltage source. Like I wish I had a module that just had bank, kind of like pressure points, are like a bunch of different ones. Because I am kind of switching tunings and stuff through stuff. Like if I had more of those, that would be awesome. And I will kind of use that for a different purpose in a second too. So yeah, these ones are just kind of, we're hanging out down here, and then I've got like, just give reference.
Yeah, I really want to know how that's processing the sound.
So yeah, this starts up and it is got tubes in it, so it's warming up. So it takes a second to. So kind of like in this area, it doesn't like.
Yeah, I'm starting to hear it a bit. That's so cool how like, you turn it on and like slowly comes in. That in itself could be an interesting like compositional.
Yeah, I have like kind of, because you can change like the rate that the tape is, or the mechanics are going, so you can. Just make this loud enough to like cause an effect, but yeah, it's probably good. You can change like the speed that will drastically kind of make it work down, or I'll just. That stuff can be fun too.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And then I've got it's like black hole setting on the reverb.
Oh yeah, just this like endless, cavernous, atmospheric reverb.
Yeah, so with all that kind of.
See now, like this, I can just listen to this for hours. Like,
yeah, and
it's 2 oscillators, it's a drone in 1 sequence, but because of the way you're processing it and modulating it, it just stays interesting.
Yeah, yep. So I don't know, it felt like it had a spacey vibe for me. And one thing that I'm doing with this, if I kind of bring that out of it, for the complex oscillator, I do have the modulation set to the pressure. So if I do hold it down, it will set it off. But I also have, much like the wave shapes are getting changed around, you can also see the type of modulation. So there's FM, AM, and then there's balance modulation. Balance modulation is like a ring modulator, but that only happens if I have something plugged into it. Like another oscillator or something plugged into it.
So then what are you using right now?
So this is kind of just randomly bouncing between the 3 of them. So, like that's FM. Then it's probably up to balance. That's probably AM. So it's just jumping around too. So I never really know what it's going to be.
Yeah. You never know what it's going to be, but you know it's going to be one of those 3 things.
Yeah, like, so, like, I don't know, I think it's kind of fun to play with random in that way where, I don't know, it's going to be interesting, but
totally.
I'm not, yeah, there's something like, I'm not going to over manage, like, picking the right one, and it's just like, yeah, I get what I get.
Right.
So, I've got that kind of going on for the first couple minutes, and then I get to the point where
Yeah, you do a lot of live patching.
Yeah. It's just kind of, I don't know, part of like keeping it propulsive and going forward.
Well, I guess that's another advantage of Mookla is because unlike Eurorack, you're not switching things out all the time, so you get to know this piece of gear really well. So you're probably at the point where it's like, yeah, I can live patch, whatever.
To a point, yeah. Like I am, like when I remember first got it, and I, saw some guys like at Motorspot, they're just patching right there. It's like, heck no, there's no way. Like I want to like know what I'm putting, know what I'm doing, so I'm able to put on a good show. But more and more, I have kind of been like, oh yeah, like I could maybe leave some stuff to just be spontaneous on the spot.
Right.
Patching, but this is more of like, well, I'm going from this random kind of thing coming in and out, but then I do switch it over to the pulsar. So now it's like I've got this rhythm going. I do actually then change it up to a saw. So
we're in the next part. Like, we're in the next part of the competition.
Yeah, we're kind of ramping up. And so where this was just kind of droning on and the low pass gauge just on, I do switch that over to the inverse of this pulsar.
Ooh.
So let me turn this off and kind of hear it. So it's going every other one because I'm going through. There's a inverter up here.
It's like a call and response kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's going on, and then I do.
That sounds nice. Oh my god.
Then I bring in the envelope. So I have this.
What's going on there?
I have this looping envelope going.
Okay.
So I'm turning up that to change the timbre. So that's just kind of. I don't mess with that. That thing is just running. So I do have. So while this is being swept this way, that's kind of being swept another way, and it's changing its source. Like I don't know, it's never in one spot for more than half a second.
Right.
And then I do kick it up to. Yeah, I turn that stuff on. And I do dial back the mix.
See, that's crazy because like this sounds like way more than 2 oscillators.
Yeah, with the delay going.
Like if you told me this is at least like 3 or 4 different sound sources, I'd believe you.
And then I'm able to like sneak in like.
Oh my god.
So now we're playing with like the melody of like choosing the actual notes and stuff.
Right.
So then I do, once I get up to this point, I am just eyeballing. Now I have the envelope affecting the rate of the pulsar.
Okay.
So the envelope is sounding like. So that is affecting what this thing is just pulsar that's going like this. So it kind of makes a interesting. Listen to it. So it kind of makes its own weird rhythm. It's now not like.
Ooh.
And it kind of.
Oh, that's sick.
It kind of shifts and stuff too. So, and I'm just eyeballing that. Like I know it's around the 3.5 thing. So
right.
I'm just like.
Well, that's another thing. It's nice that you got the numbers for reference.
Yeah.
So it's like
inch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Which that's also affecting the speed of that. So this is all.
It's cool because like a second ago you had it sounding really slow moving, lush and ambient. Now we're a little more percussive and a little more.
Yeah, it's a bit more driving. Like just like you sped it up. Like
well, and you changed some of the modulation too to make it a little more percussive too.
got the low pass gate setting, just a combination of I kind of play around with melody there. We do a couple different variations and stuff. So yeah, that kind of goes on. I just kind of keep on amping up the volume, pushing the low pass gates more so they, I don't know, just getting brighter and more intense and stuff.
Right.
And I'm kind of messing with how much this is. I'll bring the random back in, so now it's shifting to the different triangle, saw, and square. So that also kind of messes with. It's the same tempo, but like once it hits that triangle, it's so much quieter that it kind of feels like it backs off.
Right. It's also like a ghost note or a rest.
Yeah. Which then also messes with the type of modulation you get into, because this one is modulating this, so. So the types of modulation are changing, and then the types of wave shapes that are modulating it are changing as well. So what I dug about this patch is just like how much everything is kind of manic and not staying in one spot, but keeping.
But it sounds controlled.
Yeah, kind of keeping it in a space where it does feel floaty in a way,
Right.
like at the same time. Yeah, so then I kind of runs through its chorus.
God, that bass. Buchla bass notes, like I was saying earlier, they're so dirty and like gross and fat, but they're so clear at the same time. It's insane.
Yeah, there's just like certain frequency ranges that it loves, especially with like the low pass gate. I don't know, stuff can really shine through. And then so then I kind of I do bring it back to after I kind of finish that portion of the set. So,
Right.
I bring it back here and I take out the modulations for the low pass gates, because then I'm able to bring in the functions from one of my other envelopes, and I think they're both coming from different envelopes. So as I'm buying myself time, I'm kind of repatching into here, remembering what colors go where.
Do you ever like take notes on like this goes here at this point in the set, or is it all just kind of?
Yeah, no, I do have like this starting off point where I'll take pretty detailed photos and and like in tuning where stuff is at. So because God, with like Eurox stuff, it's so small and so condensed and everything's everywhere. Like this is probably like nothing compared to your spaghetti that you get on your
Right. But it's crazy because it's like, I feel like, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm not the greatest modular composer, but like, for me to get anything close to what you just did would require twice as many patch cables. Anyways.
I don't know.
Anyways.
So I do a bit of swapping out, like switching the, so it's like I'm not even using that envelope anymore. I'm bringing the pressure to the timbre, so then that will so as I play, that timbre will kind of change. And I'm also then pulling the sequence out of there, and I'm bringing it, the pitch over to here. And I tune these all the same. So these are all set to a different note, and it's in the range of this next piece that I get into. And now we're kind of getting into the actual Parade of the Ewoks section.
Okay, cool.
So I'm bringing this over here, see if I can remember everything. I'm taking a lot of the random out of this now. While that first piece was really random, there's not. Well, I kind of save it for one specific part now, so I kind of pull all these out, or maybe I pull them out the other way. Actually, I can just remove them here too. I had portamento on it before, so the notes would go that. Now it's just regular.
Gosh, that's so nice.
I usually kind of keep. I rarely go with solid, square, sawtooth type of sounds on my complex oscillator portion. I leave it in the sine wave, and then add in the timbre stuff in different ways. Just feel like it's a good way to. I don't know. I just don't feel. Sometimes I'm a little adverse to just like. It's a sawtooth. It's a sawtooth. It's
totally
a sawtooth.
Totally.
Where it's a bit more malleable when it's being wave folded.
Right.
In different ways.
And again, it just keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
Rather than hearing the same kind of sound over and over again.
Yeah. Let me see here. So now I'm kind of letting go a lot of what's going on here. I'm not using the pulser anymore. I'm not using the envelope. I'm not using the sequencer. And so kind of being able to play longer sets and like having these is nice because I can kind of have these already preset. So it's like pull those things out real quick. Hopefully throw in a couple more things from here, and I'm ready to go. So
wait, does Buchla do any sequential switches or anything exist in Buchla, or is your only way for you to switch sequences like that to just unpatch and?
I mean, this can be set up to, I could use this thing to switch, kind of to switch sequences or whatever.
Okay.
And actually, this paired with other sequencers, you can, that's what Suzanne Ciani does. She has another module that has 4 different sequencers going, and those are plugged into this, and then she routes which ones are on based on, you see right here, it says A, B, C, D. So she has each sequence running into, her 4 sequences running into here. So if she just wants to hear 4, she'll put the sliders down to, or she wants to hear A, she'll put them down to A. But and also the sequences kind of work together in a way, so then she can just, so the first 2 steps could be A, and the third step could be step D. It's it's bonkers. It's amazing what she can do with it. But this one, I could have a couple different sequences, smaller sequences patched up on here, and I could go between them.
Okay.
In a roundabout way. Which is kind of what I've done. I started out. Let's see here. Yeah. So I've got one sequence going. The main CV out for this oscillator is actually going into the mixer here. Turn it down. And I had a big aha moment with this sequencer because this is your CV output up here. I'll just what I want stuff to be tuned to.
Right.
You can change the length of the time down here with these time range switches, but you can also change the interval time down here. Just so if you want one, we can just, if we listen to this, let's say we want this much longer.
Oh, so you can set individual step length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these knobs also have, their CV can also be outputted up here. So you can have these knobs kind of changing, I don't know, whatever you want to at the same time. If you wanted to.
Right.
But it's but that's going to slow things down. I might not want to have that too high because then it's going to mess with the sequence.
Right.
But what I found is you can change the source of the timing to external, so you can plug something into here, and it would just bypass these, like whatever these are set at. It's like, I'm not listening to that. I'm listening to whatever it's being clocked by.
Right.
But if you don't do anything, it just kind of ignores these, and it stays with its settings and what you have the knob at. So I realized, like, oh wait, I can use these. I can set these to different things, and it not really affect the timing length of the sequencer. So, to kind of get past this point, I just have this one kind of pulse going, setting off my envelope, kind of getting this kick drum thing. And this was, and then I kind of was playing like the main part that you might know from
from the Ewok.
From the Ewoks. So it was like, I'm trying to think if
I think
oh,
I
yeah,
know
that's right.
exactly what you're gonna play.
I need to get. I might have to double up on something.
The danger in live patching.
Oh, that's where it is. Yeah. There we go. So these are set. So it's a different note, but I also have it set to octave, so it'll.
Oh, nice.
So then I'd play the. Yeah, not in the right position for it.
Right.
But that's where I kind of played that section.
Totally.
And that happened for, I don't know, I kind of jammed out with that for a second. Then I triggered this to step to the next section. Actually, that was actually, I played another section with this. That was like,
Is this part of the piece, or is this different? Like
yeah, these are different like little sections of the actual.
Okay, so this part is also a part of the original.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this part, like I kind of just like mixed them. So like this is actually the first part when you like listen to the score or whatever. The part I just played before is like the third part. The second part, which is only like 2 bars, is what I actually hung out on and.
But I think those are the
the
2 bars that people recognize the most.
Yeah, so it's like I knew I need to get them in there, but there just wasn't. I didn't feel like I had that much anywhere else to go with them in a way, unless I just like. Unless you guys want to hear them for like 3 minutes straight.
Right.
So, like listen to this like 3 minutes straight. Like I don't know, wasn't doing it for me.
Right.
But this next section just kind of gave me like a base of notes to work with. And so this is where I brought these time sliders in. So I'm kind of affecting. This is where like I got super psyched about like it's like the big aha moment, like oh crap I did it. So you can hear these. You can hear how it kind of transposes.
Right.
It's kind of going back and forth. So that's the transposition is happening here. I'm having these time sliders. We're looking at these notes going right here.
Uh-huh.
But if we look at the other sequencer, it's only moving every like 8 notes. And so
that's what's transposing.
That's what's transposing. So they're being
Wow.
mixed in here and coming out here. But the timing is like this is only getting triggered after every or at the beginning of each one of these runs. It's
Right.
kind of a little out of tune on this one. Oh yeah, I think I like. Yeah, somewhere in there I like retuned up too.
This does sound
so-
very Ewok-y.
Kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
like, and it is in the score for like a split second. But yeah, I don't know, I thought it was kind of fun.
Like this just sounds like a drunk Ewok stumbling through the woods, you know?
Right. And so then I was able to play around with this and kind of have like something to jam over. What then I brought into and kind of hung out with, that is out of tune, but was bringing the arpeggiator in, and that set to random, so that's kind of going everywhere. But I also then took a random voltage to go to the attack of the envelope.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
then it...
Ooh.
And so that's getting triggered, like, to be something different. So you kind of just never know what you're going to get, and then you know, speed up like it's being triggered a lot, but...
So you're modulating the attack of the envelope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's
to be
so
random,
nice.
so I just never know.
It's cool because
Like
you
the
get these
speed of it
mix
is
of
gonna
this.
be?
Yeah, like these like quick, like percussive, like chirps, and then these longer swells.
And then also having the pressure amount kind of changes the timbre of them.
Ooh.
So you can kind of change that. And then I'd also bring in like a little bit of modulation here and there too to kind of freak it out.
Jeez.
And then can also go.
Ooh. Did you just bring it down an octave? Is that what you
Yeah.
just okay?
You know, then the type of effect you're gonna get is different from there too.
Man, that low mid range of the Buchla.
Yeah, that's kind of where it's at.
It's hot.
Let me switch to AM. So yeah, I had fun with that for a bit.
So I remember there was one part where you played the theme, you know, the Luke staring at the twin suns. So like what? How did you shape that sound? Because I remember that sounding really just like lush and.
Yeah, so that. So I had that sequence. I had everything kind of going with kind of the background bass drum going too. So yeah, then I just kind of phased that out, and I had it set up here to where I left these last two notes to be kind of root notes or bass notes to play with this other section. So yeah, I have that there. If I bring this up, I just want to see if it's in. Yeah, it's 1.5. So. Yeah, so I was going, I kind of opened up the envelope a bit. I did pull out the random. Like, I did have the.
And that reverb also sounds really good too.
Yeah, that one too. Yeah, so it kind of. So then it got down to here where. Change
you
it
brought
to
the bass in at the perfect moment. That's fantastic.
The whole place, where I just kind of added a bunch of. I just kept on pushing the brought the and then I switched back and forth between the two notes up here.
was fantastic. Well, Kyle, thank you again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I think we're just gonna close it out. We're just gonna have you jam on this patch for like 5 minutes, and that'll be
All right.
that'll be it. So
Sounds good.
big claps for Kyle.
Thank you.